Hello everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood loader buggy here, and I am back with something a little bit different. I believe this is the first time I've done this on my channel, but this is actually a sequel to a video I did last week entitled Political Agendas Don't Belong in Gaming. And I will say that I received a lot of feedback on this video, some constructive and others not so much, but this video is a response to the comments and messages that were on the constructive side, because it was brought to my attention that some of the points that I was making in that video were very weak or maybe weren't quite aligned with what the point of the video was. And after review, after discussion, and after receiving this feedback, I tend to agree a little bit, and I wanted to make sure that I brought that clarification to you guys so you can understand what my position is fully. There was a particular individual actually that went to my Discord, and we'll say the discussion got a little bit hot. He came in guns a-blazing, I put up the defense, and we went at it for a little bit, and it didn't get too disrespectful in my opinion, but I have deleted those messages on Discord just out of respect for him and for myself, because I want to make sure that my channel is a positive place. But we did have a full conversation, and it ended up being very pleasant and very respectful by the time that we were finished talking, and he gave some very good criticism as to the weaknesses in my argument for that video. And I wanted to kind of make a follow-up to not necessarily correct my position, but to clarify what the real point of the video was, because it's clear to me at this point that I didn't do a good enough job explaining the point of the video. So, again, to recap, the video was called Political Agendas Don't Belong in Gaming. Now, that's not to say that politics don't belong in gaming as a whole. And I may have stated that in that video, but my intention was not to say that politics that they shouldn't exist, period, because politics can create some of the greatest entertainment, period. I mean, if we look at Skyrim, if we look at Black Ops, a lot of the games that we play have a underlying political theme, and it creates great content. The point of the video for me wasn't to say that politics in general don't belong in gaming, or that LGBTQ themes don't belong in gaming, because the art is up to the artist, as many people have stated in the comments. Video games are art, and it's up to the creators and the developers, writers of these games to determine what should be in the game and what shouldn't be in the game, and then it's up to the consumer to determine if they like it. And opinion is just an opinion, so if I don't like something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or doesn't belong, just in the same way that someone who says it does belong is just as valid as my opinion saying it doesn't belong. It's all opinions at the end of the day, but the person who is right in the instance, in terms of creation, is the person who created it. And if that's what they wanted to put in their game, then that's it. But the issue that I do have is the presentation of these things, of the political agendas, of the identity politics, if you will. It's all about presentation. And if it's a sloppy presentation, it's going to be received very sloppy. And in the part of Dragon Age Veilguard, the overall game tends to be on the sloppy side. So my issue, turns out, isn't so much with the presence of the LGBTQ plus themes, because, as I had stated in that video too, I think that Baldur's Gate 3 does a phenomenal job at representation for any particular person, whether that be a person of color or a person of the LGBTQ plus community. Does a great job of representation, and they crafted it beautifully. They wrote it beautifully, and they executed it beautifully. And Dragon Age Veilguard failed to do that. And it wasn't because of the themes themselves, it was because of the execution. And I think that was really my point of the video that I did a poor job at communicating, is that there's been a severe increase in AAA studios, namely EA and Ubisoft, the usual offenders, that have done a very poor job at providing us with quality entertainment at this point. Their writing has suffered for a significant period, I would say in the last 10, 12 years, maybe a little bit longer or shorter, depending on your perspective. But it's definitely suffered, and it is being reflected in their games. And Dragon Age Veilguard is just the most recent offender of this, of poor writing. And it has nothing to do with the particular content, because like I stated in that video too, Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition all had LGBTQ plus themes, but the way that they executed and told those stories was well done. It was very well done, and it wasn't problematic for the consumer at all. Dragon Age Veilguard does not do that. It has very similar themes, but their execution was poor. And that's kind of my point, is that whenever political agendas or identity politics or anything else like that comes up that could be controversial, whenever it's presented sloppily to the consumer, it's going to be received a little bit negative. And that was just kind of where I was at with Dragon Age. I thought that the presentation of the pronoun usage and all that stuff, whether you agree with it or not, the presentation of it was sloppy, and that's kind of where it falls short. And I think that a lot of modern gaming companies now can learn from companies like Larian Studios, who made Baldur's Gate 3, on how to properly do representation in video games where it is a game for all. Literally anybody of any color, creed, or sexuality can play that game and feel represented. And that's something that a lot of major studios could learn to do. And a lot of these studios have failed to do over the last 10 plus years. So I'm hopeful that this video was able to clarify my position on this a bit more. It wasn't a hit piece. It wasn't a matter of fact, this is my opinion and this is where I stand and I will die on this hill because I am right because blah, 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 blah. That wasn't the point of the video. And if it came across that way, I'm sorry to the consumer of that video, to the consumers of that video, because that wasn't the point. And if you've seen my channel before, that's not the type of person that I am. It's not the type of videos that I make. So, again, hopefully that this brought some clarity to what my intention of that video was, and hopefully you can kind of see where I'm coming from a little bit more. I think it's a little bit closer to middle ground as opposed to a conspiracy theorist, right-wing perspective. So, anyway. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, click the like button if you enjoyed this video in particular, and leave a comment down below if you have any more feedback for me. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.